very uncomfortable. If you've been watching the immigration debate and screaming at your screen because nobody is saying the obvious thing, that the people most passionate about keeping immigrants out are themselves descendants of the most successful illegal immigrants in human history, hit the subscribe button right now, because we're about to break down a conversation that went exactly where they didn't want it to go. And the reactions reveal everything about who really belongs here and who's been gaslit into forgetting history. Let me give you the historical facts first, because they are undeniable and documented by every reputable historical institution in the world. Before Christopher Columbus arrived in 1492, before any European set foot on this continent, North America, Central America, and South America were home to an estimated 50 to 100 million indigenous people, according to research from the Smithsonian Institution. And demographic historians, including Henry Dobbins of Cornell University, these were not primitive nomads. These were sophisticated civilizations with complex governance, agriculture, medicine, architecture, astronomy, and trade networks that spanned continents. The Haudenosaunee Confederacy, which many historians believe directly influenced the U.S. Constitution, had been operating as a democratic federation for possibly 500 years before Europeans arrived, according to research from the Library of Congress and the National Museum of the American Indian. The Mississippian cultures built cities larger than contemporary London. The Maya had mathematical and astronomical knowledge that Europeans wouldn't develop for centuries. The Aztec capital, Tenochtitlan, had a population of over 200,000 people and sanitation systems more advanced than anything in Europe at the time. And then Europeans arrived without invitation, without papers, without permission, without speaking the languages, without understanding the customs. They landed, claimed the land was discovered, and began a process of genocide, theft, and territorial conquest that killed up to 90% of indigenous populations, according to historians at Yale University and the University of California. That's not immigration. That's invasion. That's occupation. And by every definition modern America uses for illegal immigration, entering without permission, violating existing law, taking resources that aren't yours, European settlers were the most prolific illegal immigrants in human history. Now let me set up what happened in these conversations, because the clips we're analyzing show exactly what happens when you put these historical facts in front of people who've never been challenged to confront them.
Fixing it is just as important as the problem itself. What Donald Trump is proposing, just shipping 11 million people back out of this country, I don't think that's going to work. In fact, I think it's impossible. I think it's nothing more than rhetoric to excite the emotions of people to help try to get him elected. But can that become the reality? I don't think it can. What they're doing over in Greece, sending them back to Turkey, Turkey is actually doing what Donald Trump says he will do. But if that takes place in America, I think it will create revolution and war.
Well, one of the problems you have is the number, 11 million. It's probably somewhere more like about 65 million. But once again, those people here are taking jobs away from Texans, from Americans, and it's really critically important that we do create a situation where the force of law is in operation. If you break into my house, should I just accept you because you washed my dishes and made my beds? I say no. I say you need to go back and come back in the right way.
So is that what the Indians should have told white Americans?
Absolutely. Ask Cochise if border control is
because
important.
the original illegal alien are European white folk in America.
Agreed.
And so should the Indians stand up today and say deport all white folks back to Europe?
Well, should we learn something from their mistake? Because we are here now.
Or should you learn something from their compassion to give other people an opportunity like was given to you and your ancestors? Learn from their compassion. That's what you should learn from.
I say learn from their mistakes. Ask Geronimo if taking care of your borders is important. We need to do that now.
And I agree with Cochise, Geronimo, and Sitting Bull. Letting in the white man was the worst mistake that the Indians ever could have made. I agree with you. That was one of the greatest mistakes. Even right there in South Africa, they got a similar problem.
Okay, so 18-year-old kid charged with murder in the murder of a convenience store clerk, Northwest Side, very popular guy. And I got to tell you something, and I know what you're going to say. I see that as a Hispanic name, and I say to myself, I wonder if he's here illegally. and the media doesn't tell me. Look, I think we should start identifying every person charged with a serious crime who is here illegally. And I don't know if he is or not, but that was my thought this morning. Because you know how I feel about this. A third of our jail is full of illegal immigrants. A big part of the Texas prisons is illegal immigrants. We need to educate people on just how many serious crimes are being committed by illegal immigrants. And whether he is or not, we should know every single time going forward.
I believe the young man is charged with capital murder, which rightfully so. He should be charged with if he truly is the murderer and killer of this beloved store clerk. And we should pray for the store clerk's family, because many store clerks, we don't know what they go through working behind those counters, dealing with all types of things in different areas of this city and putting their lives on the line just to sell a small product and make a measly minimum wage to just survive and pay their bills. But to the bigger issue, you sit there and brought up because he's Hispanic.
Yeah.
If he's an illegal immigrant or not.
Yeah, I did.
First of all, are we now going to ask when we see white folks commit crimes, are they illegal immigrants?
Sure.
When we see Asians commit crimes,
I'm cool with
are
that.
they illegal immigrants?
I'm cool with that.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
You're lying.
No, I'm cool with that too. The odds are they're not, but I'm cool with it.
You got a problem with brown people.
No, please.
And you want to racially profile brown people to see because he's Hispanic, check his immigration status. That's racist as hell. If we don't check somebody's racial background for committing crimes, the biggest mass murderers in America are white men. So what's the racial preference that we gonna check with them when they commit crimes?
Okay, so
that's racist as hell.
So look, I'm okay too if the Finnish people who commit or are accused of murder in Houston, if we get to find out if
you see the conversation that's being struck up nowadays because of the state of what our world is in right now. Do you know we going to the moon? They getting ready to send a black man to the moon, a black astronaut. Did y'all know that? You know what I'm saying? With all the rhetoric that's being spewed, nobody is talking about that. But I'm talking about it on Streets Finest podcast. Let me get you his name. So you could say, hey, I learned something today off of Streets Finest podcast. You're welcome. How about Tyler Perry? Well, I'm looking for that astronaut name that's going to the moon. And they scheduling takeoff tomorrow. How about we give props to Tyler Perry that stepped to the Atlanta airports and was giving out gift cards amounted to $1,000 to each TSA employee that haven't been getting paid, but is still expected to come to work. You know, let's really give a hand to him and give props to him. You know, at the end of the day, what he doing his own time, on his own time, and whoever he want to sleep with in his bedroom, that ain't my business at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? So I think we need to stop being so invested on in who people want to lay in their bed with, you know. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I ain't gonna act like it don't make a difference. I mean, meaning, you know, you look at people sideways that, you know, that wanna uh entertain the same sex sexually, you know, but you know, it's their right and it's their business and it is what it is. You know. This is crazy. I know I took a picture of the guy, the astronaut that's getting ready to go to the moon. Here we go. Let me repost it. Victor Glover to become the first black astronaut to fly around the moon. Salute to Victor Glover. I hope they have a safe trip there and back. Victor Glover. The spaceship is called the Aramis, I think. Aramis 2 or something. Y'all check that out. Do your research. Shouts out to Memphis Bleak, who opened a restaurant in Vegas called Kitchen Roma. And he's making news because Jay-Z haven't came and blessed the restaurant. And they was like, damn, when Jigga gonna come and bless your restaurant? Or why he giving GQ an interview and not come on your podcast? You know, like, you know what I'm saying? You know, it's not a good look. That's all I'm saying. The legendary Mr. G that used to take all the pictures at the Go-Go's and all the big functions back in the 80s in the Rafer era. You know what I'm saying? He's been honored as the #1 cameraman at all the main events over 30 years from back in the 80s to now. And shouts out to Mustafa Tariq, who won an Emmy and the Mayor uh, Creative Award, two big awards here in DC. And that's him in the back with the gray beard, with the blue on. You know what I'm saying? And You know, his platform is called Decades, and it's highlighting the vintage uh 80s and the 90s, how DC, when it was Chocolate City back in the day, you know what I'm saying? And shouts out to what's her name? Shakiri Richardson, the sprinter, the runner. Uh if y'all up on your research, Jamaica was hit with a devastating earthquake that was it a tsunami or was it an earthquake? It was one of them. I'm sorry. Um, they the island was destroyed, a lot of parts and places. So Hussein Bolt, the famous runner, and you know, like one of the best that ever did it, you know. The modern day Jesse Owens, you know, he had his own stadium, and the stadium was damaged. And Shakiri Richardson, they just said in the last 48 hours, and this has been like maybe almost a year now, but she went over there to give him a check for like $2 million to help rebuild his stadium that he built in Jamaica that was for uh I think it was I don't know if it was for a school or was it like a community stadium where people can go to the track and work out and train. That was damaged. And I heard he has a nice restaurant over there in Jamaica. I don't know if that was damaged or not, but yeah. But you know, uh shouts out to her though. Uh Jamie Foxx, I guess they've been talking about doing the Mike Tyson story, Jamie Foxx and Joe Rogan and the dude that plays Spawn, the Black Spawn dude, uh, Michael Jai, I think his name, uh, the karate expert dude. Um, he was saying that he trying to remake the Black Spawn. That was his movie, so I don't think he liked that. But uh, he said, Jamie talented, so let's see how it work out and how he do. But they were saying that Jamie Foxx need to get in shape because Mike Tyson, if you look at him back in the years, back in the day when he was competing and fighting for real, he was cut up and was chiseled up. He was a brick wall, that had cements for hands, and so yeah. But I think the movie that uh, Jamie Foxx is going to focus on is yeah, I got a new piece. You know what I'm saying? Let me show y'all my piece right here, Lil Money joint. You know what I'm saying? You know, gift from the wife. But my bad. I do be getting sidetracked. Um, yeah, but like to show my little pieces off. You know what I'm saying? Y'all see the drip, the MK drip. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody doing it like this. But anyway, I'm just saying. Uh, I think Jamie Foxx is trying to go another direction with making this Mike Tyson story, meaning that I think he's going to focus on when Mike stopped fighting, you know, and the trial and tribulations that he was going through, like going to jail for the accused rape charge, you know what I'm saying, with the young lady, and and allegedly, I feel Don King was behind that because uh, Mike had and was leaving Don King, and you know, just like with Biggie Smalls with Puff, you know, when Biggie was leaving Bad Boy, all the rumors is saying that Puff allegedly orchestrated his demise of getting killed in L.A. You know, Tupac got killed in L.A. Pop Smoke got killed in L.A. Who else? What's the dude from Philly? PM P P PM Funk, whatever dude name was. PM Duck or something. He got killed in L.A. So it's like the running joke is stay out of L.A. if you don't want to get murdered. You know, if you're a celebrity, you know what I'm saying. Don't get caught slipping because, like the dude Big U, he was extorting a lot of the Lakers players and people that come to LA. They think they're getting into, you know, some friendly gambling games or dice and cards all the time. They being hustled or extorted. You know what I'm saying? You know, they send women at these guys to, they know they married, and the women is wearing a audio or somehow video footage gets made with the encounters or encounter, and then the blackmail, the extortion start. And that's why the dude Big U from the 50s rolling 50s is arrested and locked up. But then they went as far as saying he murdered the dude that violated. You know, I guess the guy supposed to be his artist, and I guess he wanted to quit, something of that nature, and you know, and then he was bad mouthing, uh, you know, Big U and his whole set, and they took him out to the desert and shot him. You know what I'm saying? And but I keep saying to people that what you used to get away with, you're not getting away with it nowadays. It's too much technology. The feds, they up on game about everything that was in the dark. Somebody done told it. They up on all the tricks and the secrets now. So people just need to stop trying to outslick, you know, the government, because at the end of the day, they're gonna find out, and then you're gonna have to pay a penalty for that. So I guess to some people, it's worth the risk, you know. And I feel like if you don't get rich, and when you die, or if you go to jail, and if your family can't benefit from your riches, it was for nothing. So I just feel like people need to really think things through and stop being impulsive about what they get themselves into. But I understand why kids were recruited like back in the day. You know, when I was coming through, my friends was like 12 and 13, and they was in the street getting money. But you recruit kids because of the laws, because a juvenile couldn't do no hard time and they'll get released to their parents. And it wasn't until, you know, the youth start becoming suicidal, pathological. Did I say that right? Pathological. Yeah, suicidal, pathological murderers. That's when they started saying, you know what, we can't keep looking at these kids as kids. They're mentally demented and they evil because they do these deeds and acts and of taking someone's life and they have no remorse about it. So we got to change these laws and hold these kids accountable. So when you commit a heinous crime, you're going to be held accountable at the highest of what the law can do to you. So nowadays when you commit a heinous crime like take a life, they can't put you in adult jail, but they will hold you in juvenile jail until you turn 18. And then you're going to start doing your adult time. So, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's kind of scary that we're living in a day and time where people don't have no regard for life or your life. And the fact of the matter is they don't care about their life. So that why would they care about yours? So that's really the bottom line of it all. You know what I'm saying? Uh, I'm glad that we're in a timeline that is acknowledging mental health because I feel like to a degree it used to be a cop out, but it's really a thing that we all dealing with trauma of some kind. Uh, I think we're all, if you're from the hood, to a degree, we all are, what I want to say, what's that word? We all have a level of mental issues. You know what I'm saying? You know, because a lot of times the home wasn't the best home to be in, you know, dysfunction. That's what I want to say. If you from the hood, there's a level of dysfunction. And hell, in this day and time, you know, we always thinking that if you coming from a rich family or middle class, that your life is better and you don't go through the problems that people go through in the hood. And the reality of that is everybody on each level have issues. It's just not maybe as much as others, you know, but it's always some kind of dysfunction at some in some degree. You know what I'm saying? Like your daddy not being in the household. So therefore your mother trying to raise kids on her own. That's a level of dysfunction because your mom is angry all the time and sometimes that anger get, you know, directed at you because every time she look at her kids, she see the daddy, and that's not a good feeling for her. So she's screaming and fussing all the time. You know, it don't negate the fact she don't love you, but she's overwhelmed sometimes. You know what I'm saying? And then, you know, one child can be a handful, but think about if you got 3 or 4 and you have no resources to help you and you by yourself. You know what I'm saying? That's why young teenagers and young adults shouldn't have kids because it takes a strong mental to raise kids. Now how I know, because I'm the oldest of my siblings, and when I became of age to watch over my siblings, it felt like a role that I inherited and that I was handed, and I didn't have a choice in it. You know, since forever, I've been looking out for my family and taking care of my family, overseeing my family, and now my siblings are all adults. So I tell them, stop looking for me to take care of you like you 5 years old when you're a grown ass woman or a grown ass man. You know what I'm saying? And I know that to a degree they real relax, because if somebody been doing things for you for a long time, they looking at, well, why you gonna stop now? Why I'm gonna stop now? Because it's an expectation that at some point you supposed to stand on your own and hold your own. It's not my responsibility to take care of your bills for the rest of your life. That ain't my responsibility. You know what I'm saying? So you think you want to watch me work hard while you sit on your butt? I'm not your daddy. I'm your brother. I'm your uncle. I'm your relative. Yes, I will help you if you need help and I see you helping yourself. But don't think that's my job, because it's not. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? And it is what it is. But some family members feel like, you know, they real comfortable and complacent until you put your foot down. So, but people are only going to do to you what you allow them to do. And that's the bottom line of it all. So, you know, uh, so, it is what it is. It is what it is. So, I done lost what I was talking about, because I be things racing in my mind when I talk. I want to talk about so much, but I'm trying to keep the content and the context of what I'm talking about. So, what I was talking about? Damn, I'm getting old. I'm going in and out. So, what I was talking about? Damn, it's gonna come to me. I'm having a brain freeze. Damn. Yeah, but I was talking about family and people depending on you because they feel like that's your job and you've been doing it forever. So it's like you created the monster, but now you got to hold people accountable to hold their own. At the end of the day, I don't get up to pay nobody bills because you damn sure ain't getting up to pay mine at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. Let's keep it moving because I done got off track. But I was talking about the highlights of what I've been reading today about who doing what. And I think I was talking about Tyson, how Jamie Foxx is going to deal with the issues that Mike Tyson was going through when he was going through his turmoil, like going through the divorce with Robin Givens and going through the issues with Don King, the jail incident. Then after what 2 3 years of jail, he come out and gotta get back in the fight game, and they kind of stole 3 years from him of his prime. Uh, and then Mike started, losing. He had some tune-up fights that he won, but them 3 years made a difference. So they know what they're doing. Just like Michael Vick with the dog fight, and they locked him up for 2 years, and Michael Vick was getting ready to win the Super Bowl that year. So I don't think nothing is an accident. So the powers that be and the competitors of the Atlanta Hawks, they was trying to control the narrative to get him out the way. That's what I think, allegedly. So it worked because you took 2 years of his prime, you took him out from the team when they was going to win the Super Bowl that year. They was on the roll, and all roads was looking to the Super Bowl. They was unstoppable that year that he went to jail, or when the accusations came up about him and he was going back and forth to court, and and then they finally arrested him, and he went through that whole ordeal. Even though he came back, improved himself, and got back to the money with Philly, and got his bread back up, and then played a few years. I think he went to Pittsburgh too, and was able to get some money back that he lost in that 2 years, and then he went on and retired, and now he's the head coach for Norfolk State. Uh, he ain't doing too well because he don't have the talent, and you can follow his journey on I want to say BET. Mike Coach Vic at Norfolk State, and when I go down to Richmond, I pass Norfolk, so I need to get to a Norfolk State game. I had a coworker was saying that she went to see East Carolina play Norfolk, and they beat Norfolk. And the lady was telling me, yeah, Norfolk looked bad, and even Mike Kuvic's celebrity can't help them. They need some strong recruiting and talent. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, showing y'all the drip. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody doing it like that. You know. Anyway, it's 8 o'clock. I was fortunate to get off a little early today, and I'll be trying to come at y'all like once a week and let it marinate. You know what I'm saying? Uh, we getting ready to have a new mayor race going down, and Kenyon McDuffie is the front runner, and it's a candidate named I want to say Rolanda Hamilton. That's the candidate for mayor. Trayvon White probably will throw his hat in the ring, but he's getting ready to go to court for his fraud case, and that they got on him, that they locked him up for. Politicians be getting caught up taking bribes or, gifts and some kind of expenses that they not supposed to have because you're in a position of influence and they feel like you oversee contracts. So therefore, if you're taking gifts and money and expenses, they feel like you did something shady, you know. And I had the pleasure of meeting Trayvon White and taking pictures with him, and we had a laugh about, you know, his situation. It might not be funny to him, but he had a sense of humor. It's like, what do you say to people when, they in a situation like that? So, and I hope I wasn't offensive, but I said, we got a president that has 34 charges on him that he's going to make disappear. So, how bad can it be for you? And we had a little laugh about it. And, you know, because, if you read in depth to what I said, you get what I'm saying, right? So, and allegedly, let's put the disclaimer up there. But yeah, man. So let me show y'all this DC legend. This is Ron Moulton, and he's responsible for the Go-Go Museum, the Go-Go Awards, and he's doing a lot in Southeast DC. One of our pioneers, native Washingtonians, and back in the '80s, he was in an organization called the Peace of Harlots, and they will go to each neighborhood squashing beefs because we were losing a lot of guys and people in general in the